is Noreen from Joy of Cards, and today we're going to be making my Lacy Reflecting Magnolia card. So the items we're going to use today is the flower and the sentiments from Good Morning Magnolia, the butterfly from Beauty Abounds, the water from High Tide, those are the stamps, and then the dies we're going to be using Stitch to Lace, the second and third smallest layered oval die, and the largest and the second largest layering circles. So let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing you're going to need is a 5.5 by 4 1/4 Melon Mambo card base. And then we're going to be die cutting the stitched lace here on a piece of basic black, the same size as your card base, so the 5.5 by 4 1/4, and it'll look like this. So go ahead and snail that up, and don't worry about the snail webbing coming through this die. It doesn't really do that, and you really want this to stick down and make contact with the card base, because that Melon Mambo can peek out. So the first thing we're going to do is open it up and start lining this up with the open part. Also make sure that all the little doohickeys are out of your piece here. Every once in a while you'll see like a little piece and it's like, oh no, I got to take that out. So let's line this up just like so. Okay, so now we're ready to do the sponging. So what you're going to do is take that layering circle, the second largest one. You don't want the largest one because we're going to make this gold foil frame. So the second to the largest one, go ahead and cut out the circle, and then you're going to need a piece of scratch paper, and take your scratch paper here, and we're going to take our stays on, because we're going to be doing some inking and moving around of stuff, so we want stays on, and even stays on will smear a little bit, so try not to touch your lines, and your Stampin' pad. And even though these stamps are the orange ones, I really think they make better contact when they're on here, even though I have a glass plate here. So we're going to be using that flower from Good Morning Magnolia here, and then the butterfly from Beauty Abounds right here, and let's go ahead and ink them up. Now we need to make sure that you have a lot of ink here, so it makes a really nice dark impression, and then also we need to make sure, because it's reflecting here, that we have enough room here on the bottom to make a good reflection. So don't put it too low and don't put it too high. So, and you want it facing down because she's dripping down here. So let's put her like right a little off center and a little high enough to get another flower in right there. Okay, and then we're going to take the butterfly. Now we want the butterfly to sit on this leaf, so I don't want to cut stamp on it or around it, or I want it to be pretty darn good. So I'm going to take my very technical piece of equipment called a clear cellophane bag that I got from something, who knows what it was, and take the butterfly and look where your outline actually is. It's pretty close to the edge, so just kind of size it up here and figure out where you're going to hit, and put that cellophane bag right on that leaf and try to position it so that it's not hitting this leaf so much and it's not hitting on top of the bag so much. It's really kind of a guesstimate, and that's pretty darn good. So, and then also while you're at it, you need to take your butterfly and your flower and stamp on a piece of scratch paper a mask. Now I've already obviously done this card a few times, so I've stamped and fussy cutted both of those items plus a little stem, because we're going to take that and we're going to pull it out. So take your and I'm going to get rid of the mat here. Take your Stampin' Right black pen. Now you can get just the black pen. It's in the catalog and it's like, I don't know, like $4 or something. Definitely get this, because you're going to use it on a million different things. It's totally worth it, because the black will match all the black from Stampin' Up, and also this is pretty fine tipped. for doing something like I just did. And then also this is great for putting black on your stamps rather than using the Stampin' or the blending pens. So stamp and fussy cut a couple of masks, and you're going to mask over your flower, and then take, and when you mask, and it already had some tape on it, but when you mask, use that teal crummy tape from the big box store that like sticks to nothing. It's great for masking. So I'm going to mask over that, and then take the butterfly and mask over that. Just make sure the webbing is out of the corners. Now when I fussy cut the butterfly, I didn't cut out the antenna, I cut them off. And it's not going to really make much of a difference on your piece here, so you can sponge over it. So I'm just masking, get it in the right spot so you're covering everything. Okay, so I've got those masked. Now let's put our cover on the stays on, because this will dry out. So the next thing we're going to do is start our sponging. Now the first color we're going to use, which is the lightest, always start with the lightest, is Daffodil Delight. Now they got rid of Pineapple Punch, they retired it. So I'm waiting for the next yellow, which is like Bumblebee. But this comes out really dark if you're going to use Daffodil Delight. If you still have your Pineapple Punch, use that, or use the Bumblebee. I don't know how much of a yellow it is, because mine is like coming today, of course. So anyway, make sure if it's newly inked like this pad is, that you get rid of a lot of the darkness in that Daffodil Delight, because it comes out really dark. So, and then go in and sponge around the top. Now, we also need to make a mask for the water here. So just take a piece of scratch paper, and when you tear it, make sure it's not like a straight line. Give it some curves and stuff, because if you don't, it'll look fake. And then of course take that silly masking junk, and I have it in the pink one just because I didn't have a green one, but it is the green tape. And take this and mask it for the water. All right, and then go ahead and start putting in that yellow. Don't do it too dark. This color is really dark. I missed my Pineapple Punch. And just do it lightly. Okay, and that's truly enough. So put this away, and then we're gonna get the Melon Mambo, which I use a lot, and do the same thing. I just re-inked these. I really like using almost dry stamping pads, because you can control it a little better. Now if you're sponging, I'm using the Stampin' Up cheapy sponges, because I actually like them better than the expensive ones, you know, the ones that we all have now. These, I kind of like the cheapy ones better. And then we're just going to give it a little bit, and I mean a little bit, of Melon Mambo, like around the horizon. If you can circle it. It comes out much better than if you just, you know, dab it on. Start from the edges, work up, and that's it. I don't want to put too much. And whenever you're inking, you're never going to get it exactly the same colors, because that's impossible. So I like it a little, and I can always add more Melon Mambo if I want to, but subtracting is like, you can't. So there we go on that one. And then we're going to take it and we're going to move the mask and flip it upside down. And you don't want it all the way to the edge, because there's going to be like that no man land in between the two colors, so you actually do want them to hit together. And we're going to take Seaside Spray and Balmy Blue. Let's try the Balmy Blue first. Let's just open them both, because I did re-ink these, and it kind of changes its color a little bit because it's so dark. So let's use this one first, which is Seaside Spray. Okay, and I don't know if I re-inked Seaside Spray, so I might have. So really get a lot of that darkness off, and go in circles from the edge and go up and give a little bit over that no man's land here. So you're really, I'm hitting the edge of that pink, or that Melon Mambo. Go in circles. Because you don't want that white line. Once that white line is established, then it's hard to blur it. Okay, and then we're going to take our balmy blue, and I think I did re-ink this one. Get most of that ink off, and kind of do one of these, because you might grab the edge of it. All right, circle in. Alrighty, so let's put those up, and always keep your sponge on top of your ink, just in case you want to go back. You want to make sure you're grabbing the right sponge. And then pull this up. And I'm going to even blur this a little bit more. And maybe even grab my Melon Mambo here and blur these two lines more. Okay. All right, now we're going to take our flower stamp again and grab your stays on and grab your Stampin' pad back, because we need to put that reflection in the water. In fact, I would have preferred if I would have had this up just a little bit more, but ink that up really good, and we're going to stamp it off and then stamp it upside down like it's reflecting, like that. I label my daubers, so I'm going to take my dauber, grab that Melon Mambo again, and I did ink this pad, so I'm going to push off most of that color. This is just way too dark, and I'm going to daub in that reflection here. Just be careful of the edges, okay? And then I'm going to take the Seaside spray and grab the water from High Tide, and I'm going to do this in Seaside spray. I did do it in black originally, but I think it looks better in Seaside spray. And I'm going to go ahead and put that over it. Now we're going to take off our mask. If there's any little glue residue, just wipe it off. It'll work. All right, then you need to take a blending pen, because there is going to be a little white around your masking, so you want to fix that. So make sure that there's no ink from a previous project on your blending pen, and then try to use the ink that's already on there and rub it in the ink, and then go around the edge, and that should get rid of your white halo. So I started with yellow. Now I'm going to go to pink, so I'm going to wipe this off. Melon Mambo here. Watch that black line. I nabbed a little tiny bit of it. And bring it in. Okay. Go on the other side, grab some. Okay. And then you're going to do it around the blue here, because there's a little spot right here. Rub it in the blue a little bit. And then around. I don't know if you could hear, my dogs were playing in the background. And they know I'm doing a video. Yeah, Murphy's Law. All right, so we've got rid of the little halo of white. And now it's time to color. So I'm going to grab my daubers again. So I've got a Melon Mambo already out, and then I want to get Highland Heather. So here's my Melon Mambo and my Highland Heather. And I'm not sure if I need to re-ink my Melon Mambo or not, because there's already ink on it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottom part of the flower Yep, I didn't need to, definitely did not need to re-ink it. So it's better to start light. You can always add. And then just grab the tip. You have to be careful not to nab the water. But this is a good way to blend it in. And I was recently, nope. My Highland Heather isn't all that wet, so I don't think I re-inked that one, so I can give it a little more pressure here. And do the Highland Heather on top. Make sure you don't nab the leaves there. In fact, I can make this darker. Alright, so you got your two-tone here. I can even go over with the Melon Mambo. Bring them in a little bit. Go over that line. Okay, that looks good. And then close these up. And now we're going to be taking some of the colored pencils, and I'm using Old Olive and Granny Green. I'm going to take my Old Olive and I'm going to do all the tracing. So I'm going to do the veins in the leaves. Oh, my dogs are fighting. Well, they're playing. Dogs are playing again. And all the veins here, some of the outline, the stem. And then I'm going to take my Granny Green and color it in. Color in that stem. And then I'm going to take the blending pen again and make sure, you know, it doesn't have any ink on it. Oopsie. And then blend that. And if you need to use some more Old Olive to make a shadow or something, do that. I think I might go back in and give a little bit more here. A little more shadow there. Okay, and that's how you do leaves. And now we're going to do the butterfly, and we're going to switch mediums again, and we're going to go with blending pens. So I'm going to do my dark Blackberry Bliss, my light Highland Heather, and my dark Highland Heather, and we're going to take the non-painting end, the thinner end of the blending pen, and we're going to do the butterfly, and we're going to make little lines going up. So the darkest will go closest to the body, and just some uneven lines there. Then we're going to take our dark Highland Heather, the more pointy end, and make some more lines. Kind of blend them up a little bit. And then we're going to take our light Highland Heather, the pointy end, and I'm going to do the outside of his wing and then go from the top inward. So I want these light. Oh, you can blend it. All right, that's the butterfly. So our inking is done. So let's put this to the side. And now we're going to go ahead and do the gold foil frame. And what you do is you take the largest layering circle and the second largest layering circle and cut the large one first, because these do, I mean, they do layer, but they're really close. And I tried to just tape them and do it at one time and didn't work out so well. So cut this one first, and then take your second one and line it up. Take your, you know, your purple tape and kind of hold it down on the die cutter. And what you're going to end up is this. So we're going to take our gold frame here, put it to the side, and let's get our card base. So here's our card base, and we're going to snail down our sponged piece, and we're going to put that in the middle. Okay, then take our gold foil circle and the good, good tape. Don't use the masking tape. And we're going to line this up. Now, it doesn't 100% fit, but that's okay. And just kind of lay it in as much as you can. So it looks like it's inlaid instead of you just did a circle and put it on top. I think it looks a little prettier this way. Now the next step is we need to do our sentiment. So we're going to take our layered oval dies and we're going to take the second and third smallest one. And with the larger of the two, we're going to cut in Melon Mambo, and then the smaller one is going to be in the gold foil. Now with gold foil, when you're die cutting, make sure your cutting plate doesn't have a lot of scratches on it because it'll transfer onto the foil. So you got to make sure it's a pretty decent one. So it is foil, so we need to use Versamark. And I am breaking a little bit of my own rules here. I have to use the black embossing powder. I don't like using the clear with the black ink. It just doesn't look as good as it does when you use the good stuff. Here's an example. This is what I did with just ink and clear embossing powder, and this is what I did in the black. So I am using something that is retired, and I'm hoping that they're going to bring it back. So anyway, so we need to get our embossing buddy and make sure we emboss that pretty good. And then we take our Versamark, and I went ahead and just used a stamp. And even though this is a very abused Versamark, we're going to be doing black embossing powder, so it doesn't matter. And as we're waiting, I'm going to turn on my heat gun. Sorry about the noise. And I'm going to stamp this right here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and take our, and I'm using shimmer black because that's what I had. Okay. Yeah, I hope Stampin' Up! Comes to their senses about not having black embossing powder. So we have that, and I'm going to go ahead and take my little thing I always use for my embossing and grab something. If you're going to hold it down with something, make sure it doesn't pierce the foil, because foil, it will make a dent in it. So we're nice and heated up. All right. Looks good. Yeah, I mean, you can really see the difference between this and this. This just looks so much better. So I do have one new one if anybody's interested. I've got one left. So we're going to let that cool for just a second. Get everything else out of the way. All you have to do is affix your gold foil onto the Melon Mambo, and then put it on your card front. And there you go, that's the front of the card. Now the inside of the card, what I decided to use was the Stamparatus, because I am going to be using the sentiment from the Good Morning Magnolia, and it's kind of a bigger one. So I want to make sure I get a good ink on it, and plus this embellishment down here, I really want to make sure that they are on there really well. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and then we're going to take a piece of 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 by 4 and put the magnets down. And I've already had this kind of pre-lined up here, so I can just go ahead and do it. And I'm going to go ahead and do the stays on again because it's out, and you might as well just use it. There is a stays on cleaner in the catalog, so if you want to get that, clean your stamp. Plus, it kind of smells like candy. Does anybody notice that? Write me a comment. It's like, yeah, that smells like candy. It's like, yeah, I know. Don't sniff it. It'll probably be bad for you. You grow a tail or something. So do that. Put it down. And then this particular stamp does that thing where it leaves a lot of spaces. I don't like that look. I don't know about you, but I would prefer that not to be on my card. So I like to take my black marker and just fill it in. So I just take it and fill in all the little blank spots. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. This is what it looks like. So we're going to turn this over and just put it in. And there is actually one more thing that we need to do once we put the inside in. And actually there's two more things we need to do. One is we need to take our butterfly, and let's take our dark Highland heather with the painty end here. And we're going to color her all up. This purple butterfly that we just did came from the Butterfly Beauty. So go ahead and die cut one of these little butterflies and color them up with the dark Highland heather. And then we're going to take our fine tip glue and then take the butterfly and just put them up here in the corner. Now, one thing I did forget was the butterfly on the front, because if you notice, I don't know if you can see, this is a butterfly on top of the butterfly. So back to stamping a butterfly here. Take your butterfly stamp and your StazOn, because you are going to color this, and go ahead and stamp another butterfly. Remember to use your Stampin' pad. You just get way better contact. And you could just use a scratch piece of paper and get it real dark and stamp it out. Then you're going to take your dark Blackberry Bliss and dark and light Highland heather, and you're going to start with your Blackberry Bliss. Use the pointy end and color it in. Actually, instead of circles, I do like to do like little lines. And then the dark Highland heather, the pointy end, go up a little bit more, and then finish with the light Highland heather. I do like using the pointy end. Get the edge of the butterfly. Okay, and now you're going to fussy cut this. So go ahead and cut this away. And I'm going to fussy cut this and I'll be right back. I've cut my butterfly, just fussy cut it, and I only cut the wings. I cut his head off and his little antennae. And then you're going to take your black Stampin' Right marker and go ahead and fill the white that is left on the wings from fussy cutting. And then we're going to take the light Highland heather, maybe the dark Highland heather, and we're going to color the back, because just in case you can see that. So get out the little painty end and color the back. Okay, and then get some tear tape and just take a little piece of the tear tape. I like tear tape, I think it's just a little stronger. And then, of course, figure out how your butterfly goes. And also take one of these little curly devices here and give it a little curl. And put it right on the edge here. It'll go over a little bit, but that's okay. And since we just colored this, it's going to take some pushing down to make that tape stick, because the ink is still wet. And then take it and put it right on the edge of your butterfly. So I've cut the head and the antennae off, so he still has some on the bottom here. So now it looks like he has 2 wings. And that's it. That's the card. So if you like it, please subscribe to my channel. Also, I have a website, joyofcards.com. If you can subscribe there, you can see all my videos in one spot. So that'll do it. Thank you very much. Bye.